Okay, welcome to Information Systems Project Management. Hi, I'm Emmett Gray. I'm going to be your instructor. So I prepared this brief PowerPoint presentation to basically introduce you to the course, learn a little bit about me, and learn a little bit about how Canvas is configured for you guys. Okay, let's begin. So this is project management. I'm going to try to make this kind of fun, if at all possible. Hopefully skip over some of the boring stuff. This course is designed to basically provide you everything you need to know about how to manage a complex information systems project. But quite frankly, the skills you learn here could be applied to any project. If you were building a bridge, the kind of things you're learning in this course would help you with learning to build a bridge. By the way, the Projects Management Institute have a certification. And you can go there and get, this course is basically like a certification cram course. Once you finish this entire course, you could apply for one of their certifications. Those make great resume stuffers. Okay, a lot of people get out of college, but they don't have really any experience, but they can substitute that with a certification. Okay, so this is a somewhat in-depth course, and there's an awful lot of stuff to learn. But I tend to operate at concepts and philosophies, and very rarely want to get you down to memorizing boring facts and details. Okay, so about this class. So this is a 100% online course, but it's an online course with video lectures. Now, a lot of people have a tough time getting their head around this. They think online courses are just, self-paced. You just got to go on, and all you're going to do is just get, an assignment to do, and you just do it all on your own. No, this is a lecture-based course, just like any other course. If you had this face-to-face, you would show up in class, you would pay attention in lecture, and you'd take notes. Here, you sit at home, watch the video lectures, and pay attention and take notes. It's absolutely the same. The only difference is, instead of being your butt is in a chair at the university, your butt is on your couch at home. Other than that, there's no difference. So this is not a self-paced course. In fact, there's something due every single week. Okay, so there's no real prerequisites for this course. If you had some good business skills, it might help out a little bit. Maybe a little bit of computer skills, because we are going to be using some software. The textbook, Information Technology Project Management 8th edition. I checked in the library. They have plenty. And I'll just tell you that about 80% of the stuff comes from the book, and then 20% of the stuff is not in the book. Okay? So I tend to supplement an awful lot of the material. So that means you can't just say, I'm not going to watch them dang videos. I'm just going to read the book and do my thing. Don't try it. It's not going to work. Okay, so what are the requirements? Obviously, this is an online course, so all our interaction is going to be through Canvas. So all the assignments and quizzes and feedback and everything is all going to be done via Canvas. Obviously, that means that you need access to a computer. Now, just to interact with Canvas, like to take a quiz, okay, or to watch a video, those you can do on practically any device. You can do it on a phone, a tablet, whatever. But when it comes time to doing the software parts, you're probably going to need an honest-to-God Windows machine. If you don't have one, you can probably go to the lab or maybe to the library and temporarily borrow a computer that has all this stuff in it. And you do need a reliable internet connection to make this work. One of the stories I like to talk about is I had a student several semesters ago that had a horrible internet connection that would just drop at any time. And she was so afraid that the internet was going to drop that whenever it came time to do a quiz, she actually drove to the university and did the quiz at the university and then drove home, because you can't have your internet drop in the middle of a quiz. That would be very, very bad. Okay, so we are going to be using Microsoft Project 2016. You're probably going to have to go get that. It's not part of the Office 365 package. So just to start with, so Office 365 is available. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Office 365 is available, every student. You just go to the Outlook web portal, and there's a little button that says Get Office, and you go through the whole procedure. Okay, that's not where you're going to get Microsoft Project. To get Microsoft Project, you're going to have to go down to the lab, fill out a form for Microsoft Imagine, And a couple of days later, you get an email telling you some codes, and then you can go online and pull down a copy and install Microsoft Project on your computer. Okay. Now, you are going to need to be able to produce Microsoft Word documents. That doesn't necessarily mean you need Microsoft Word. It just means you need to be able to produce Microsoft Word documents. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so what are your expectations for this course? Let me tell you mine. You're going to learn an awful lot about project management. You're going to learn an awful lot about Microsoft Project. And you're going to have to apply the stuff that you learn in producing all sorts of documents. You do not need to be a computer expert to do well in this course. And quite frankly, it's not my job to turn you into a computer expert. So if you're not a computer type person, it's perfectly okay. We're not doing any programming, any of that kind of stuff. Cool? Okay. So, there's 13 chapters in the book plus the appendix. We're going to cover them all to include the appendix. And in fact, we're going to do this out of order. We're going to have the appendix go first. So, all the entire stuff in the book. All right, so here's a diagram that I show at the beginning of every class. And it basically tries to drill home how my courses are built. If you're in school, like in elementary school or middle school, you might be asked to define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, or state. Just remembering stuff. That's not where I operate. For example, I very rarely would have a test question that said, what is the definition of this? Because I know what you would do. You would just copy that phrase, throw it in Google. Whatever Google says, you just copy it and paste it on the exam, right? I mean, come on. So my test questions are going to be more complicated. They're going to be describe, discuss, explain, interpret, demonstrate, that kind of thing. Implement. So I'm asking you for a higher level. I'm asking you for understanding stuff. Not knowing stuff, understanding stuff. Let me drill home that concept with this next slide. And it's the what versus why. So a what question would be, what is the capital of South Dakota? And quite frankly, the correct answer to that question is, I don't know, I'll look it up. Because, right, that's the correct answer. Because everyone's got a phone, whip out the phone and go, doot, 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 doot. Aha, the capital of South Dakota is Pierre. No one expects you to memorize that stuff because it's stuff that's just online. Okay? So that's not how my test questions are going to go. My test questions are going to go, given this scenario, explain why option A is better than option B. That's the kind of question I'm going to have. And you can't light those up and paste them into Google and get anything useful. So I'm asking you for why. Now, I want you to pay attention for test questions because sometimes my test questions will say, why is this? And then I'll get a definition. And I'm going, I didn't ask for a definition. So I'm just telling you this because the first time you take one of my quizzes, you're probably going to be a little confused because perhaps you've never been asked to explain why before on a test question. I don't know. All right, let's continue. So let's talk about the course requirements. So basically, this is what makes up your grades. So there's 2 exams, major exams. There's and they're not comprehensive. So the midterm is the first half, and the final exam is the second half. We're going to have a review session before the exam. I'm actually going to give you a list of topics that are going to appear on the exam. Not the actual questions, but I'm going to give you the topics, and we're going to go through them and discuss them. So essentially, I'm going to help you study for your exam. Okay? Good. So, 6 quizzes. Most people can do these in about 30 minutes, so they're not that tough. 6 assignments. You might be asked to submit a Word document or a Microsoft Project file or something like that. A term project. And this is going to be the everything you've learned in the course all crammed into one assignment. So an entire project documentation requirement. And then the last part of your grade is based upon your participation. And participation is basically simple. Did you do what I asked you to do? That's it. Okay, so here's how the grades actually come out. So the exams, there's 2 exams, right? So the exams are 25% of your grade. Quizzes 30%, assignments 30%. Your term project is 10%. That's an entire letter grade, okay, right? Entire letter grade. And then participation is 5% of your grade. That's how it works out. All right, here is the class schedule. So the way it works is essentially every week begins Monday morning and then ends the following Sunday at midnight. That's how all the weeks work. So this first week, for example, starts on the 15th. Quite frankly, it may actually start on the 16th because 15th is a holiday, but that's beside the point. I wrote it down here as a 15th. So the takeaway behind this slide is we have one chapter a week, and there's something due every single week. To include the first week, a quiz. Typically, the way it works is it's quiz assignment, quiz assignment, quiz assignment, quiz assignment, back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, there's nothing going on during spring break. Woohoo! So you don't have to stop and think, oh, is there something due? Something is due every single week. You don't have to think about it. Every single week at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, something is due. Okay? Good. So, how much work is this course? I'm expecting you to spend about 2 to 3 hours outside of the classroom, in air quotes. In other words, over and above the time it takes you to watch the videos and take notes, you're going to be spending 2 or 3 hours a week doing something, either doing a quiz or studying for a quiz or working on an assignment. This is a pretty fast-paced course. I mean, it's one chapter a week. Lots of topics to cover, and just remember, there's something due every single week. Okay, good. So let's drill down and talk about exams one more time. So obviously, this is an online course. So all these exams are going to be open book, open notes, open anything, whatever resource you want. And the reason I feel fairly confident doing that way is because I'm not asking you questions like, what is the definition of this term? Instead, I'm asking you, explain why this is better than that. Those are types of questions that you really can't look up. So I don't mind you trying to look them up. So open book, open notes. There's 25 questions on the exam plus 2 extra credit questions, and you have an hour and 15 minutes to do it. So the quiz is obviously going to be in Canvas, and there'll be a separate review session where we're actually going to go over all the topics. The take-home quizzes, same rules, open book, open everything. 20 questions, there's a 1 hour time limit, but very rarely do you run out of time. And then lecture notes. Now, what I do is when I'm building these quizzes, by the way, I don't use any of the test banks, okay, so all the quizzes are homemade. When I'm building a quiz, I'm looking at my lecture notes. I do not even open the textbook, okay? I'm looking at my lecture notes and going, hey, that'd make a good test question. Hey, that'd make a good test question. So just think about it a minute. If I'm looking at my lecture notes to build a test question, you think maybe you should be looking at the lecture notes too? What do you think? Yeah, that would be a good idea. The only weird part about the lecture notes is I don't release the lecture notes before the lecture. I know that sounds crazy. But the idea is if I release the lecture notes before, then you wouldn't take any notes at all. So I want you to pay attention in class. I want you to be taking your own notes. And then after that, you can compare your notes with mine. Okay? Cool. All right. So assignments. The number one rule on assignments is reading comprehension. I mean, that sounds incredible, but just trust me. Assignments aren't typically very long. They're like 4 or 5 sentences, right? I'm trying to describe what it is I want you to do. But every single word in there means something. And there's a reason why it's there. So please read. For example, if it comes up and says, I want you to have 5 of these and 3 of those, well then, by God, when it comes time for me to grade your assignment, I want to see 5 of those and 3 of those, okay? So read every single word in the assignment, okay? Nod your head. Typically, you're going to be turning in a single document, like a Word document or a project document. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, and what I typically do is I break up these videos in 15-minute chunks so it's kind of easy to digest. So just hang on a second, and we'll be right back.